Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Nissan, who for the last 40 years has been proud to call Middle Tennessee home. More information on the work Nissan is doing to support the community is available at nissanusa.com.
I'm Khalil Ekulona, and this is Nashville. Today, we have Chuck iNDigo here in studio with us. He's a Nashville-born artist who recently dropped a new album, Until I Get There. Since 2017, he's put out 7 albums and collaborated on several projects. He's becoming a well-known and well-respected member of Nashville's music scene, having worked with artists like Shrames, A.G. Sully, Brian Brown, Jordan XX, Ryan Petty, Mike Floss, and Tim Gent. The Nashville scene recently named him Nashville's best rapper, and he's the WNXP Artist of the Month for November of 2024. I'd like to welcome him to the show, Chuck iNDigo. Welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Thank you so much.
Really great to have you here with us. Okay, so I'm going to jump in with a clip from Drive Slow. It's a track off of your new album. Let's take a listen.
Need new ties. I'm treading lightly while I'm on this road. I'm still on the go, trying to find my fit. Artists and the arsonists, they wonder how my life up in flames, and still I want the smoke. And my message still the same. Watch the okie doke. It's a shame when they can't hang. They been a homie for some years, but we can't get there with the that brought us here. I'm trying to heal. Dollar bills make it better. That ain't even real. Drive slow, drive slow, drive slow. Eyes on the road. You can't be what they need you, watch how they treat you. The biggest distance between people come when they beefing over words instead of speaking. They'd rather go think of something absurd. All assumptions based off that they heard. I left the herd cause I'm more shepherd than sheep. Purpose sold in every move, just watch the blessings I reap. Lessons I keep piling, can't win them all, so I keep smiling. Killing with kindness, even though I wanna be childish and seek balance. Kinda think that the old me would wanna OD. But if you knew me, there's a new me, and I'm bougie when it come to that. Crafting raps that make them use it, connoisseur, run it back, ain't lose it, tryna ball like how you fumble that. Drive slow, drive slow, drive slow. Eyes on the road. Eyes on the road. Eyes on the road. Drive slow, drive slow, drive slow. Eyes on the road. Eyes on the road. Eyes on the road, yeah.
My man. All right, so talk to me about that song, Drive Slow.
Yeah, so it was made about 2 years ago. I was out in LA for like my first time. I had just gone on a nice long hike, and was in the studio with Lito. He's a producer behind an artist named Jordan Ward's last album named Forward. So he's like Grammy nominated, all that good stuff. But it was my first time working with him, and he turned the song on, and I was dealing with like different relationship dynamics, right? Where you know, there's a line in there where I said, when you can't be what they need you, watch how they treat you.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Whereas, you know, dealing with that feeling of feeling like you're disposable to people based on mistakes that you make, or just not seeing eye to eye about something. Then also just like the whole idea of like drive slow, like if you've ever like hydroplaned before, right? It's like, even though it's a very scary feeling, the one thing you're not supposed to do is what?
Hit the brakes.
Right. So it's like no matter how turbulent life gets, it's still going and you can't stop. So just don't hit them brakes.
Yeah.
Just keep going and drive slow. So that's kind of what that is. Just take your time and but don't stop.
Yeah, I get some, like, take your time.
Yeah.
Cautious. No reason to go 95.
Yeah.
You're going to get there if you go 55.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, so the album is called Until I Get There.
Yeah.
What's the story behind it? Where'd it come from?
So, you know, I'm big on like conceptual like albums or whatever. And I kind of look at life as like a journey, right? So around the time when I started creating this album, I just got exposed to The Alchemist. Okay. And, you know, the overall theme in that is the journey is the reward, or the journey is the destination.
Fantastic book.
Yeah, amazing. And so I resonated with the main character of the book. and wanted to try to create something that I felt like was able to chronicle like the challenges of life and kind of like what it looks like to try to achieve your goals and things you set out for in this lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, I think in that pursuit, we're met with a lot of challenges, and I think from my own like personal reflection, it's like they're a byproduct of like not everything is a consequence of a decision you made, right?
Yeah.
But it is in some way a byproduct of a decision you made, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's kind of like trying to look at that from like a broader lens and look at, I guess, like the petty vices that kind of like lend us to like some of the more heavier trials that we may face, right? So drug addiction, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, watching porn or doing like whatever, those different vices that kind of feed and give you those quick dopamine hits, oftentimes like deplete you in the long run and then kind of leave you like feeling lost, like, you know what I'm saying, looking for where to go next. And so that's kind of where this stemmed from, because I was about 26 when I started crafting this.
Okay.
I'm 30 now, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, welcome.
And so, yeah, thank you. So I think looking through, you know, everybody says like you're supposed to go hard in your 20s, 30s supposed to is when you start establishing yourself, 40s you're supposed to live it up, 50s, blah, 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 right? And for me, it's like kind of looking just around at my peers, just kind of looking inwardly too, realizing like, man, sometimes we're kind of like our own, like we're to our own detriment.
Yes.
Like there are a lot of systems and things in the world that kind of like rob us of the opportunity to, but there are also too, like, our reactions to those things are often not helpful either, or even like beneficial for us. You know what I mean?
So you're talking about the obstacles that we place in front of ourselves, and some obstacles that systems are in place, but with self-determination, you can pretty much do anything you want.
And not even from a sense of like some type of attainment of something or some status, right? But like more so like peace of mind. I'm a spiritual guy, and for me, I know I see a lot of times where people, they try to like intertwine their spirituality with like their physical,
their environment
or their material condition.
Yes.
Right? And I always ask, right, so the person who has the same things, like, did they get, and they don't believe in a higher power or anything, or are not spiritually in tune, where did they get those things from? Who gave those? Who blessed them with those things, right? And what I find is like a lot of what I would call like spiritual fruits, like peace of mind, like happiness, like, you know what I'm saying? Joy, compassion, empathy, you know what I mean? Things of these natures. I don't think you get those by worldly means. I think you have to go inward to get those type of things. Those aren't things you can just, anybody can have access to at any moment. I think you have to go to a source to get there. Let's say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm getting at in this project. It's like there really is no there to get to. Because a lot of times you get to this next destination and you see like that what I wanted ain't even what I want no more. You know what I'm saying? And then there's always this next level or this next thing, right? And so it's just, how do I get myself to like arrive at a place, like an inner state that is like paradise, you know what I mean? Like an inner paradise and an inner peace that allows me to like continue to grow and like be immersed and in love with the process of growth, and not this, once I get there, I'm good.
Yeah, you're in love with the journey.
Yeah.
You're experiencing the journey because that's
Absolutely.
what it is. Life is a journey. Life doesn't end until it ends.
Yeah.
You know, until then, it's a journey. And once it ends, you've got no time to assess what you've attained materially.
And we all get off on the same stop, no matter what. We don't get off on the same stop at the same time, but we all get off on the same stop because we all got to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about your creative process with this project. Did you like go in really intently, working hard for a long time, then you kind of pull back and reflect on it? What was your pace of writing and producing these tracks like?
This one was more of a drawn out period. Like, I had never really taken this much time with like one piece of work. And naturally, like, it started off where a bulk of it was done within like a year and a half, and then the last stretch of it was kind of like finished this past year.
Okay.
Really, typically my creative process, specifically when it comes to like creating projects, is more, it's always conceptual, right? So it's like usually starts with the name of an album. So until I get there, it was a thought, and I'm like, I like that. I think I could use that. Okay. And so I sit with it for a while, and then it comes back and it stays, and like I'm kind of all over the place a lot of times. So when something sticks, I think I know that that's it, right? Yeah. So it stuck for a long time. Naturally, with music, I don't really show up in studios with like an agenda. I try to like honor what my truth is and what life is giving me at the time, right? So it's like, because then I feel like I never run out of stuff to talk about, right? Because I'm just talking about what's going on in life. Yeah. A lot of it was that. It was like, it really wasn't like I'm in album mode type thing or nothing. Like, gotcha. I knew I had this concept. I knew that I wanted to like make it kind of take place on a bus and have some type of like theatrical element to it. But as far as like the contents of it, I just trusted my pen and trusted my truth to like kind of shine through. And I think I did go into it with more of an intentionality with being like more vulnerable and more honest, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I just have found strength in that. I think it's something about like carrying shame about something and then telling somebody, and then you see they don't even care. Like they still feel the same way about you. It's like, oh dang, okay, well like, all right, I can be me. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what this was.
It's kind of comfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
To be you. You have a family, 2 young kids, and a wife. You work full time creating this album. How did you balance all of that?
Honestly, I think I don't know. I don't really like, I tell people this all the time, like I don't really have your typical like artist disposition. You know what I mean? I love music. I love to make music, but I'm not like a gym rat or a studio head. You know what I mean? So gotcha. Like being in there for 4 to 8 hours a day, that's not me. I'm more of like keeping the sword sharp, so staying at it regularly, you know what I mean? So like I'm the 3 times a week kind of guy. Like I get in there a few times a week. I'll get in there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, work on different stuff, and kind of just use my computer and my hard drive as like an audio journal. So I'm just getting out ideas, and then if something really does strike me that like sticks, then I work with that and I'll like go through with that, and then allow that process to go. But as far as that with the kids, it's like I just try to be present in the moments that I can be present with them, and with my wife as well. And yeah, it's not always where I'm like, being the greatest dad or the greatest husband. Like sometimes I am very locked in on what I'm doing musically, and like I'm getting home 9, 10 after they go to bed and not really there to eat dinner or whatever, But then there's other times where like I'm cooking dinner, I'm taking them to school, doing all that cool stuff. So I think it's just like the seesaw of it. That's kind of how the balance is. It's just like, it's never understanding and accepting. It's never just going to be like always like that. It's always like, except, okay, well, I'm in this season right now where I'm having to go hard with the music right now. Trust that wifey's going to hold it down. And then, when I come back or she needs some help, I can kind of step away when I need to. So
all right. Really it. All right. Let's listen to another track from the album called Problems. Here we go.
Some days I wonder if I'll make it. Don't show it on my face much. I cope in different ways, yeah. Been burning all my brain cells. I smoke to ease the pain, yeah. I drink to ease the pain, yeah. Look, in to ease the pain. Been going through some things I really can't explain. Everybody got their own problems. Everybody going through something. They say the world turning cause of dollar. You better go outside and get some money. Cause everybody got their own problems. Everybody going through something. You say the world turning cause of dollar. You better go outside and get some money. Say go get the money, go get the money. Go get the money, go get the money. Say go get the money, go get the money. Look, go get the money, go get the money. Look, daddy happy that I got the job with the benefits. He like the music, but the 9 to 5 legitimate. And mama love me, got a funny way of showing it. Overprotective, hate to see her baby growing up. Starting to think the world might not be far from blowing up. I've been coping, doom scrolling, finna roll me one. I'm losing faith, I'm losing hope, pray God show me something. I'm finding peace in knowing that everybody got their own problems. Everybody going through something. You say the world turning cause of dollar. You better go outside and get some money. Cause everybody got their own problems. Everybody going through something. You say the world turning cause of dollars. You better go outside and get some money. Say go get the money, go get the money. Go get the money, go get the money. Say go get the money, go get the money. Look, go get the money, go get the money.
All right, now, part of the chorus, go get the money, what we just heard.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about problems. You mentioned some of the petty vices that you talked about earlier. That's in the first verse and things. This idea about money. I do want to talk about that a little bit because people think that's the ultimate barometer of success. I got all this money. No matter how I got it. I have this money, and therefore it gives me access to material things. Therefore I have success. But to hear you say that in the song, it doesn't sound like you're championing the idea of getting money to have success. Where are you getting at with that?
Not at all. Yeah, it's definitely like a satirical thing. It's more so like an observation. It's like, you see, that's what they're feeding us. It's like, okay, they're going to push, they've kind of pushed this like individualism thing on us where it's like, hey, everybody pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and if you work really hard, you'll be a billionaire too. And it's like, it's kind of a reason you can count on a couple hands how many billionaires there are.
Look, man, back in my day, it was be a millionaire. So, yeah.
And so I think just looking at that and knowing that, like, we don't realize, the whole misery loves company thing, right? It's like a lot of the community that I'm surrounded by, we find that's where we find our like common ground. It's like we're dealing with the same like systems and issues, right? And so it's like, okay, well, how do we come together to like combat that and create like a life that we want to see? You know what I mean? And so I think it's more so like this is like a whistleblow to people. It's like they're telling you to go do this, and everybody got issues though. Still, you know what I mean? It's like something's up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
It's a nice challenge to the mantra we've heard for the past 7-8 years: get the bag.
Yeah.
You know, because I like what you're saying about commiseration. It feels like everybody's getting the bag and commiserating together at the mall or the Fendi bag or whatever material item they're getting to act as some sort of spiritual solve or balm to the problems that they're going through. You know, what do you hope comes from a message like what you're giving folks?
That people like, I mean, we hopefully like wake up and smell the coffee, man. You know what I mean? There's like a famous George Jackson quote, and I'm paraphrasing, but he talks about like, setting aside your differences, coming together in revolutionary love, and realizing that like fascism is already here. And I think it's that idea that like a lot of what we fear and a lot of what we are so adamantly like trying to avoid is actually it's happening to us, you know what I mean? And what you're being fed is actually like your own demise. That it's actually not that the way in which we're being told to like go live in order to be to live a fruitful life is actually like it brings about self-destruction. So it eats itself, you know what I mean? It's like self-implodes, if you will. So
all right, we're going to take a quick break. Chuck iNDigo is a Nashville-based artist whose latest album, Until I Get There, is out now. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with him. I'll talk to him about growing up in Nashville and his varied and deep musical background. Stay with us. This is Nashville.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Amazon, proud sponsor of WPLN's daily show, This Is Nashville, engaging our differences so we can discover our unity. More on Amazon's community work at aboutamazon.com. Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil Colonna, and this is Nashville. Today we're here with Nashville-born and homegrown artist Chuck iNDigo. He was recently named Nashville Artist of the Month at WNXP. His new album, Until I Get There, is out now. Chuck, it's really great to have you here, man.
I appreciate you, man.
All right, so I want to listen to another track from your Shades of Indigo. This is Chuck iNDigo's Time Waits for No One.
I feel like God love me but don't like me at all. Tolerating all my nonsense while my conscience evolve. Constantly fall by 808s and heart breaks up. Make the car shake, spend all day thinking about smoking on my next off day. A song made but who may be struggling too. Long day hustling, bustling just to keep me a roof over my head. Dreadlocks, I let them grow long instead. Detached from vanity and mirrors, lay my ego to rest. Yeah. This world don't owe me nothing, but it still came with tax. Time ain't gon' wait for no one. You'll never get that back. Hydroponic conscious, roll a fronto while I ponder. Lock in with the Loch Ness, mixing Red Bull with the Monster. Late night session leading to an early morning shift. Wake up 4 a.m. on dot like it's too early for this shit. I'm too gifted for this world and I'm too early for this gift. Think about all the ones who slept on me, the ops that I done missed. Wasting time out with some little bitch. Well acquainted with my angels, but my demons with the shits. Speaking things into existence, make some start to exist. Pray to God to make some changes. Then I started seeing mirrors, bridges started disappearing. Now my ear up to the heavens like a hard of hearing. I let God do all the steering and pray God that I'm forgiven for them things that I done did beneath my genius lies and minutes. Who be with all that dumb shit? Some better off being left alone. You never know, but when you know better, well you better let it show. This world don't owe me nothing, but it still came with tax. Time ain't gon' wait for no one. You'll never get that back.
This world don't owe me nothing, but it still takes a tax. I like that.
I appreciate it.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
To me, that feels like a self-realization that, yeah, life is hard and it's not fair. You gonna play victim and waste time, or you gonna get to something?
Come on.
And make it happen. Is that where you were going?
100%.
Okay.
That was it. You summarized that perfectly.
Hey,
100%.
all right, move on to the next question. And I do. You grew up here in Nashville. Your parents are here. Your family is here. Tell me, what was life like for you in this city when you were younger, growing up?
Simple, dude. It was simple. It was basketball, church, and school. That was all it was. That was the thing. And I mean, music was naturally in there because of church. You know, so my mom was like the choir director up until I was like 13.
Okay.
So I always sung choir, and then if you're in black church, they gonna make you sing once they find out you got any type of a voice. So that kind of took away the shyness behind being in front of people and stuff like that. Yeah, but it was it. I mean, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays I'm at church. Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays I'm at basketball practice. Saturdays I got games. And it's just that. And then school.
Over and over again.
Over and over again.
Did you pick up any instruments when you were playing with the church?
Yeah. So I played drums first, and then I played keys.
Okay.
Yeah. So I still play keys in my church now.
What position in basketball did you play?
Point guard starting off, and then shooting guard in college.
How far did that go for you?
All the way through college.
All the way through
Played
college?
on scholarship all 4 years.
Where'd you play?
I played at Trevecca here my first 2 years. I was freshman of the year in the GMAC conference.
Hey.
And then I transferred to Faulkner University down in Montgomery, Alabama. Was first team all-conference and honorable mention All-American, NAIA All-American both years.
Congratulations. I'm sitting here with the All-American. Fantastic. And a freshman of the year. That's hard to get. During those times, did you have dreams of making it to the association?
Oh, yeah.
The NBA?
I thought I was probably going to the league. So, like, high school, I thought I was going to, like, blow up senior year, junior year, go major D1 somewhere, go to the league. That's what I thought. As I got older, about junior, senior year in college, I was like, okay, I think it's still a thing. I'm just going to have to take a different route. So I was like, I'd be able to go somewhere like Trevecca or maybe a JUCO, you know what I'm saying? Ball out for a year or two, transfer, go big, okay? Then I got to college, and then there was another wake-up call. I was like, all right, it's a different level of basketball, a different level of commitment. And so I'm like, I started kind of like questioning a little bit if that was even what I wanted anymore. So then it was like, after about my freshman year of college, it was like NBA felt far-fetched. I could probably like make a G League team or like get a tryout, something like that. But overseas was definitely like, I'm going overseas. For sure going overseas. And then by the time my senior year came, I had kind of done what I wanted to do. Like I scored 1,000 points, in 2 years at Faulkner. So I was 1,000-point club there. And I was doing the music already. I had started doing music like pretty heavily at that time. So it was like, I didn't really feel like I had nothing else to prove. And then I had friends that were already like I had one that was in Iceland.
Okay.
And he was just making like regular money, like what you would make doing IT or something here. So I was just like, I don't know if I like care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I want to do that much.
If you have the love for the game,
Yeah.
but you mentioned something like, talk to me about like that level of commitment you saw in each level of basketball that you rose to. Talk to me about that, because when you hear these stories, it's easy for us to turn on ESPN or watch a game on Sunday and get the feeling like I can do that. I don't know if it's happened to you, but often I watch a game and feel excited and go out to the local hoop and hoop it up.
Humbled.
And yeah, you get humbled.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of young kids do that, but they don't understand the dedication it takes to even to be able to sniff professional sports. Did you see that level of dedication that's being put in while you're in college and transfer that to your approach to making music?
I mean, in some sense, yeah. So like, I've always had this disposition. Like, I was always of the belief, like, if you were a kid who like played multiple sports all year, but you didn't have like one main thing that you did, it was probably less likely that you were gonna go, unless you were just like a freak athlete, you know, a Mookie Betts, if you will. You know what I'm saying, right? But like, so for me, like, even to play on a college level, I realized like it took a lot. Like from 12 years old up until I graduated high school, I mean, I played AAU, so I played basketball year round. So literally, like March through August, AAU. We get like a month off for training. Then you go back to, you can start conditioning for school ball. November, you're right back at it. And then, you know, and it's same cycle all the way up through school. And so knowing that I had to do that just to go to a D2 school, then transfer to A&A high school, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not even like Division I. And then seeing the level of talent that was there let me know, like, okay, you have to have a certain level of dedication to even do this at a high level, so let alone be a pro. And so then coming into the music space, my first experience with like that similar feeling that you're talking about was when I went to South by Southwest. It was 2016. I didn't realize that many people were doing music and chasing this. And it was like, oh, I got to be hard. Like, if I'm not hard, I'm not gonna stick out, because it's, you know, I performed at I think 4 or 5 stages in South by Southwest.
Okay.
And like most of them I'm performing in front of my homies, because the lineups were 70, 80 artists long.
Yeah.
And none of the lineups I was on was with the same people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so knowing that was like, yeah, you really have to put it in the time, and you have to put in like the hours, you know what I'm saying, to even be able to do this at a real level.
Approach music like you're trying to go to the pros.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now, a couple things happened to you in college. You studied and got an interdisciplinary English degree. You also met your wife there.
Yeah.
Talk to me about both of those things.
Yeah, so it was my end of my freshman year in college and the end of her senior year in high school. So she had just graduated. My best friend and her best friend had been dating for quite some time. And so it was weird to me, because I saw her and I'm like, yo, who is Shorty? And he's like, oh yeah, that's such best friend. I'm like, how long they been best friends, bro? You ain't never told me about her. You know what I'm saying? And so he's like, bro, yes, I have. I'm like, no, you haven't. Anyway, so thank God that party sucked. It was trash.
Okay.
No one showed up. And so it was only me, a few of my homies, and her, and like a couple of her friends. And so, you know, like, I'm one of them, like, if I came, I'm gonna make it worthwhile. Like, I'm gonna leave it with something, you know, type guy. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm like, if I'm being here, I'm gonna have fun. So I went over there and talked to her, and then we just been locked at the hip ever since. So,
what does she mean to you?
Everything. That's my little baby. She get on my nerves, but that's my little baby though.
In a good relationship, they say that that's the case. Do you, when you are making music, how does she respond to the music that you make? Is she a big support to you? Do you run ideas past her? What's that like? Yeah,
she's always been a support, because I am still an artist about my art. You know what I'm saying? She knows I'm a little sensitive about it, so she's a little more like just I'm just gonna cheer. You know what I'm saying? And if there's a song I'm like really excited about, I'm like, babe, I made this song. You want to hear it? And she's like, sure. And I'll play it for her. But it's not like she don't really interject herself into it too much, because she's a painter, so she's always kind of into her own little world and stuff like that. But she's always a big support.
Now you got this degree also in interdisciplinary English. Mm-hmm. Did you lean towards that because of the fact that you are an MC and a rhymer?
Yeah, well, so it's an interdisciplinary studies degree, and that's just essentially because I just changed majors so much. Like I told you earlier, like I'm a little bit like
gotcha.
I could be all over the place, so I changed it so much to the point that like when it was time for me to graduate, my advisor just had to call me, obviously, like, hey, look, you've got enough credits to graduate now. Like, you have more than you need. We can just do an interdisciplinary studies degree with a focus in English, because a bulk of them were English ones. My whole reason was because I was like, at that point, as soon as I told myself I wasn't trying to go pro no more, it was like, I'm going to do this rap thing, and I need to be like, I need the literary, devices at my disposal. So,
it really helps.
Yeah.
And so you dedicate yourself fully. You come back to Nashville known as this athlete, right? You're like, I'm not going to do that anymore. You push yourself fully into music to do that work. What was that time of life like for you?
Looking back on it, it was like really pure, because like my love for it was strictly about this desire to be like accepted by my peers, and like for people to just be like, yo, I like that. Like, I like your music. It had nothing to do with like making money or any of that. So I think that time was like, it was probably the most fun I've had doing music. But also too, I think there was some like tension, I think, that was within me, because I was fighting so hard to prove myself. You know what I mean? I was like, there was times like I'm writing stuff and I'm like angry the way I'm rapping, because I'm like, they're gonna feel me. Like, you gonna respect me. I'm gonna show you I can rap. And it's like, I don't know, I don't got that no more. So like, that part. So like the fun aspect of it now feels more like therapy. So it's more of like, you know what I mean? And I think the workout of it is like, that's the equivalent. Like, you know how some people say like they're working out in the gym is therapy for them? It's kind of like that. It's a little painful sometimes, because you're really thinking hard, and I'm using up a lot of brain power to try to like contrive something that like not only is true, but also like makes sense and is like palatable. Like something that you just want to like actually listen to. So
that's hard to do. It's
really hard to do. And then so like there's that piece of it, but I also get therapy out of it. Like, because once I've like figured out that puzzle piece, it's that feeling of like, man, I ain't want to go work out today, but boy, I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
Man, I feel good now. You know what I mean? So that's how,
All right, we're going to take one more break. When we come back, we'll keep up the conversation with Chuck iNDigo, WNXP's Artist of the Month and Nashville Scene's Rapper of the Year. Stay with us. This is Nashville. I'm Khalil Colonna, and this is Nashville. Today, I'm here with Nashville-based artist Chuck iNDigo. His album, Until I Got There, recently dropped. Again, Chuck, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so you mentioned this before the break, that when you initially were dedicating yourself to making hip-hop on a full-time basis, you wanted to be hard, And then now you've changed that. How have you seen yourself and your work grow over these years as you have grown on this journey that we opened up the conversation with?
Yeah, I think it's just more so like I said a little bit earlier, just kind of like leaning into being vulnerable and like leaning into like just being true and honest to myself. You know what I mean? I think it's really hard to try to keep up some type of like righteous facade or any type of facade, really. Like anything that's just not naturally how you come into the room, I think it's really hard to try to like maintain. And I don't know, like I think over time I've been able to just be more comfortable with myself and be more comfortable with my flaws, you know what I mean? And just with sharing those, because it's like, it's one of those things of like, nothing really changes when people find out more about you. I think if anything, it kind of liberates those around you to be like, dang, he dealing with some stuff I'm dealing with. And he told everybody. So it's like, So I've just found strength in that. And I think I have also too, just sonically, I think I've found like my wheelhouse, you know what I mean? As far as just like being able to blend melody and lyricism together in a way that's like unique to me. And so, that's the one thing I say. I think I really have like grown in and kind of found my niche.
Now, do you produce a lot of your own tracks?
Yeah.
What do you use? What's your main gear?
Primarily Logic, but then sometimes FL too.
Are you a sample artist? Do you do a little bit of both? Are you playing things? I mean, you play the drums and the keys.
Yeah, I primarily play, and then sometimes like I'll get people to send me like loops or something like that they made. But yeah, primarily playing, and then sometimes I use like, drum samples too, stuff like that. But yeah.
To work through it. Now, I want to talk about hip hop a little bit. You were talking about being vulnerable, this changes that you made and putting things out there, but also finding it irresponsible and impossible to hold up and maintain these facades.
Yeah.
A lot of facades in hip hop.
Yeah.
They're a facade of either you're super hard, you're this dangerous gangster style figure, or you're super conscious, constantly reminding the world how woke you are in rhyme. What do you think about those? And it seems like nothing else can exist in between those two extremes.
Yeah.
As far as like mainstream hip hop, what do you think about that? What do you think about this pigeonholing and of roles that hip hop artists are forced to take?
Part of me almost feels like it's a conspiracy against our people. No, I'm playing. But I just think I honestly just feel like that it lacks artistic integrity. You know what I mean? I think it lacks, and there's a level of like manipulation that goes into both sides of it. I think, well, I can respect someone who's like quote unquote conscious or whatever, trying to push a message that's more positive. I think oftentimes, a lot of the times, it like, to me, it misses the mark either from a palatable standpoint where it's like the music sucks. Like you're saying something, but it's not. I don't want to play this.
Yeah.
Or I think it like lacks the integrity of just being like it's like you're dodging the accountability of what you're doing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And pointing the finger at somebody else. Like, bro, but your porch dirty. How you telling me my porch?
And that's it. We're flawed people.
Yeah.
And so to be focusing on the conscious, positive upliftment misses the part where you talk about or explore your own little petty vices.
Come on.
That you engage in.
100%.
You know?
100%. And I think, too, it's like, I think what we see in the world a lot of the times is like a culmination of like our inner turmoil. Like being projected outwardly, you know what I mean? Because it's like if everybody's claiming that they don't like the music that they hear on the radio and they don't like this, and it's like who's changing the thing, and then why is nothing changing? You see what I'm saying? It's like, well, then that means people aren't really like, people must not be dealing with their stuff, or they're hiding behind their critique of the world and actually not like showing up with like their baggage and just saying like, hey man, this is what I got. I'm laying this down and I'm trying to pick up something else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you know, I find some people, or when I talk to folks about music they listen to, they tell me if an artist, they're like, but this is just my guilty pleasure. And I've always been fascinated by that. They'll listen to a particular artist who has absolutely nothing positive to say.
Yeah.
But they say that it's their guilty pleasure. And I'm like, well, what are you being pleased by? It's not a judgment.
No, yeah.
You know, because we all have those things.
Yeah. I love a good beat.
Yeah. A good track will make you dance sometimes. It's now folks also say that they ignore the lyrics, and I don't believe that. I believe everything you expose yourself to, consciously or subconsciously, you are absorbing, and it eventually will come out again. So don't tell me that you're ignoring the lyrics unless you're playing the instrumental on that hedonistic song.
100%. I don't think that it's a coincidence that you see a bunch of drunk bar fights at country bars downtown with a whole bunch of songs talking about getting drunk and getting towed up. I don't think it's odd that you see a whole bunch of shootings and things like that happen at nightclubs where there's a whole bunch of songs talking about shooting people and killing people.
Yeah.
If that's what we own, everybody in here intoxicated on, you know what I mean? And that's hearing that. It's like naturally when somebody step on your shoe, I'm going to feel violent because the music that's playing is violent. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, in my opinion, it's not to be judgmental. Everything has its place. You know what I mean? And in some ways, some of these people are like just detailing what the life that they live. Completely understandable, whatever. I just think it's like, we got to stop playing dumb, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the effects aren't the effects.
Who were some of the artists that you really got into that you dug listening to as you were coming up?
So I was late to hip hop because I'm such a church head. So like it was gospel up until about my sophomore year in high school. My first like real like hip hop, like I'm like, I love this dude. Who is this? Was J. Cole. It was Friday Night Lights. And the warm up. Whichever of those two came first, that's the one. But yeah, I just remember being heavy on Cole, and like it excited me because I'm like, I'm him. This is me.
A former basketball player.
Everything he was saying felt so like, even down to him sitting on the cover. It's the warm up. He's sitting on the front cover with the ball or whatever. Oh, he got the ball in his arm. And so That was the first time that like I felt like I had heard rap that like didn't make me feel quote unquote dirty. You know what I mean? I didn't feel. I was like, I can play this around my mama, and she ain't gonna be tripping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, then from there, I was exposed to Kendrick Lamar EP. His like first EP when he first changed his name from K Dot, and then Section 80 came after that. But yeah, got on to him. Then it was Crit, Wale, and then slowly I started to like backtrack. So then like, you know what I mean? Basically starting from the 2000s and going back.
How far did you go back?
Man, I probably stopped like early 90s because like I ain't gonna hold you. Like Public Enemy is probably about where I cut off the line as far as like palatability, like for me, where it's like I could actually listen to this and enjoy it. Some stuff is like I respect their craft. Like yeah you can Rakim is cold. I just can't get into it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so tell me why. I was talking to a younger person about this. They wanted to learn about hip hop, so I'm sending them A Tribe Called Quest, and they were like, I like it, but they were talking about the sonics of it.
Yeah, texturally speaking. Like I'm
okay.
Unpopular opinion. Pac ain't in my top 5 specifically because it's sonic. I don't like the hoo-doo-hoo-hoo. I'm not a fan of that.
I'm with you.
I'm not a fan of that tone. I respect it. Like I know his rhyme scheme is literally perfect rhyme scheme. You know what I mean? If you go look and study his stuff, it's like he's an amazing writer, but I don't think what he was doing was like relatable to me.
I understand that.
Or it just from a sonic standpoint. So like, I would even say Outkast is probably about as wild as I got. Cause for me, I could. It was something about it was the unorthodox approach for me that felt very akin to like spoken word and poetry, which was what I started out with before I was even like rapping for real. Okay. So like that felt familiar, I think, and that's why I took a liking to them. And then also too, like I didn't feel like that they were like rappers. Yeah. Like their music to me was very like ambiguous, and I just was like, I love this. I don't think it's rap.
Well, that's the question it brings up. I mean, I'm old school, so it's like rappers versus MCs. Yeah. I felt like Outkast were MCs. Yeah. More so than rappers.
100%.
You know?
100%. I think you make a very valid point, because like when I even think about the rappers, I think of like the Biggies. I think about like the people who, from a technical standpoint, like not the hugest fan of Eminem, but he's great at rapping, at the ability to rap. You know what I mean? To rhyme words and put them over beats and stuff. Like he's really great at that. Making music, to each his own.
I understand that. Some of the best Eminem, like Eminem is one of the best rappers. Yeah. Commercially, obviously album sales, but also you talk to people technically and skill-wise. Yeah. He is absolutely a genius and brilliant. There's one thing to listen to Eminem rap. There's another thing to listen to Eminem MC.
You know what I'm saying? Because he got those B-sides that you don't hear on the, you know what I mean?
The radio.
Exactly. That display more of his musicality. You know what I mean?
So I do want to end with this. Where do you think hip-hop culture can grow? I think there's a couple things about Nashville's hip-hop scene. I think that Nashville has more of a hip-hop industry scene than a hip-hop culture scene, which is fine because it's music and it's the music city. Where do you see not just Nashville's hip-hop culture grow, but the hip-hop culture in general? Where would you like to see it go?
So one, I'm going to have some pushback. From my prerogative, I think it's the opposite. So I think we actually have an embedded like hip-hop culture, and the industry aspect of it is kind of like the infrastructure, if you will, is what lacks. Like we could sit here and play Nashville artists, like really good hip-hop artists who currently live here in Nashville for hours and be like, who's this? This is really good. And it's like, yeah, this is Ro Marquez. Or, hey, no, this is really good. Who is this? This is Tim Gent. Oh, this is really good. This is Brian Brown. You know what I mean? And the list goes on and on and on. Like one of my top 5 rappers of all time is Petty. He's from here. And no, you know what I mean? Like I would put him up against just about anybody, right? But I think what lacks a lot of the times is like when people from other regions and stuff come into the city, what they know the industry to be is country music. So they're like, where's the hip hop around here? I ain't know it was no hip hop. But it's just like, I can go to a hip hop show every week as like a local, hip hop person. There's shows going on all the time. There's artists doing stuff all the time. I just think we haven't like found infrastructure to be able to like make that grow here. But I think the capacity that we hold, or the potential that it holds, I think it's endless. It's so young. Like hip hop is not been, we talked about it earlier, like since
50 years, 51 years.
You know what I mean? It's not long. So it's still very young, and I think In some ways, it's evolving and getting better, and in some ways, like, we're in a correction period.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a correction period with everything. At least from my personal, like, analysis, I would say, like, the 80s was the last, like, real correction period we had for music. We talk about the 70s. We talk about the 90s hip-hop era and the R&B era. You don't really hear much about the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Because that's more of the drug era. Everybody's getting high and doing weird stuff.
There's a lot of big hair and rock, fat laces in hip hop, and cocaine everywhere.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think, and I just think if you look at now, it's a lot of the same thing. A lot of tight pants, a lot of big old weird outfits, different things like that, and it's a lot
more
of
than
drugs.
cocaine. Yes.
You know, a lot of drugs.
A lot of drugs.
And so we're just in a correction period right now. But I think the potential that hip hop holds, it's the next whoever is is somewhere right now in a bedroom studio going at it 5 beats a day. You know, the next Kanye, the next Quincy Jones, the next whoever.
Yeah.
And I think naturally, as we move through time, we'll realize that, like, we had some stuff figured out. We probably should just go back to some stuff that we were doing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The musicality, you know what I mean? The musicianship, you know what I mean? Like having people come in and play instruments on your records and different things of that nature. I think we're getting back. Even the sampling, right? I think when people see how easy AI is to manipulate and use, I think for the people who actually love music, it kind of is like, what? Hold on, no, we have to reclaim what's ours. You know what I mean? We can't let the robots take over our baby, you know? And so I think that will naturally occur within hip hop, and we're gonna I think we're in a correction period, and we're on this next phase is gonna be something that's gonna, I don't know, I feel like change the world like hip hop did when it first came.
So you're saying it's the 90s again?
Come on, man. I think we're entering into a renaissance period. I think even with the Kendrick and Drake beef, right? I loved it so much because I felt like it was rooted in, like, a righteous hate. And that's just me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's this the culture, you know, I'm with the culture feeling, right? You know, and yes, I do believe Kendrick won. So for anybody who wants to know, yes.
You did.
So I think, but I think when we look at that and we look at what I think that meant for hip hop during this time, it was like a reclaiming of, like, the core values of what hip hop is built on, right?
What it's supposed to be.
It's like, hey, y'all, we starting the day. This ain't hip hop.
Having a bunch of money and fame is great, but that's not what this is.
That ain't what this is.
All right, what we're going to do is close out the show listening to Chuck Indigo's song called Alternate Route. Here we go. Chuck Indigo's new album, Until I Get There, is out now. Chuck, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate this conversation, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to have you come back and spit some verses next time.
Could I leave you all with something as well?
Please, sir.
I would be remiss for those folks who are listening. December 7th at Eastside Bowl, got a show, Attack of the Titans, myself, Quest Cantrell, Lotus Music, and 6-1 Tribe. It'll be at Eastside Bowl. You can get your tickets now. I think the pre-sale ticket's like $15. Would love to see y'all out, though. That's December 7th.
It's not far from the crib.
Not far from the crib.
I'll be in the house.
Bowl. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thanks to you for tuning in this hour. This is Nashville is a production of Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced and directed by Katherine Ceicys. Our technical director and board operator is Liv Lombardi. The masterminds behind our theme music are LaRange and Namir Blade. You can listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get good podcasts, and a special shout out and thanks to Julie Height. The conversation never ends here. You can comment and tell us what you want to hear on our show by leaving us a quick message at 615-751-2500. You can also find us on Blue Sky and Instagram, and for now, you can still tweet us at This Is Nashville. This is Nashville. I'm Kaliole Colonna. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody, and be good to each other.
might take me out.